Okay, you guys are going to have a couple videos like this one every week. This week you only have one, and we're kind of going to focus half of it on learning how to use Mastery Connect, which is where you're going to do your quizzes, and we are going to use the other half to do 7.3.1 in your book. So we're going to do Mastery Connect. And we're going to do 7.3.1 in your book. We are also going to create a formula sheet because there are a lot of algebra concepts that you guys have to draw back on for these lessons. So we're going to do a formula sheet too. Okay, first of all, you should have gotten an email where I sent you your own student ID. And you could only get to this video from the email that I sent you with your lessons for the week. So on that same email with your lessons for the week, it has your test ID. Each test ID is different, so you have to make sure you're doing the right one. You can only take the quiz once. If you need to do a retake, you'll be able to do a retake, but you have to prove to me that you did your homework to do a retake. So the biggest thing is make sure you guys are asking questions on your homework when you have questions on your homework. Your homework is going to be very similar to your quiz. The homework isn't graded, but the quizzes are absolutely graded. So if you have questions on the homework, that's your chance to ask them. So you guys are going to go to student.masteryconnect.com. And when you go there, it's going to take you to this page, and I have already entered in our first test ID. So this is what you will do, and then you'll click next. And it should bring you to a page that looks like this, and this is that student ID that I sent each of you individually. It's literally just 5 numbers that I made up for you. So make sure you look at that email and get that student ID. Once you submit that student ID, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. Over here on the right hand side, this is where you're going to answer the questions, and on the left hand side, these are the questions you're answering. If you look at the top of the page, you can see there are multiple pages on here. I think page 3 is actually blank on here, but you can either scroll up and down, or you can use those arrows at the top of the page to be able to get to the other questions. When you're done, you're just going to click finish down here, and it's going to pull up another screen. And this is the other screen that it should pull up, and you're just going to click submit my answers. Don't try to look off of my answers on here, because as you can see, I just clicked E for each of them because I just wanted to get through it so that you guys could see that screen. Now this part is going to be a little bit tricky. This is the screen that popped up when I did the 8th grade quiz. This isn't your guys's. But I submitted my answers for yours, and it didn't give me feedback on what I got on it. It's been a little trippy lately, and I think it's just because there's so many people using it right now. So if your screen doesn't pop up at the end, please let me know, and I will email you your score. But it should pop up with a screen like this, and the most important thing is down here where it says Mastery. So it's either going to have a green dot, which tells you that you have mastered it. If it has a yellow dot, that means you're almost there. And if it has a red dot, that means you did really bad and that you need to email me so that I can give you some help. That's your chance to get with me and get some help and say, Miss Withers, I so don't get this. You shouldn't be getting a red dot and not emailing me. If you get a red dot, you should be emailing me so that you can get some help. Okay, we're going to be doing 7.3.1 now, and this is the only section you're going to do for the whole week. Make sure you guys are asking me questions on the homework if you have questions on the homework, because you will have to be able to answer the quiz questions. We are going to make kind of a formula sheet today so that you guys can look back at it. I would 100% suggest everything I write down, you write down in your notes, because you're not going to want to go back on here and look through this video and try to find what you need all the time. Plus, that formula sheet is going to be exactly what you need to be able to do your quiz and your homework problems. So it's going to be super important. So we're going to skip a couple questions on this section and go straight to question 116. And it says, review some of the algebra tools you already have. Consider two line segments, AB and CD, given that AB is at 0, or A is at 0, 8, B is at 9, 2, and C is at 1, 3, and D is at 9, 15. It says, draw the two segments on a coordinate graph. Find the length of each segment. So let's go ahead and draw those first. So we're going to do 0, 8. So here's 0, 8. Make sure you label your points on here. So this would be A. We have 9, 2. Make sure you label it as B. And we're going to connect these line segments. Then we have 1, 3. Which is C. And 9, 15. And that is D. Okay, now part B says find the equation of AB and the equation of CD. Oh, and we have to find the length up here. So find the length of each segment. So let's do that first. I am going to switch to another page really quick because there's a formula that we're going to have to use, and I'm going to write it down here as well. The segment length is going to be the square root of x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1, and we're going to square each of these. This is just a review from algebra. This is something you should have learned last year in your algebra class, and we're going to add it to our formula sheet. Okay, let's go ahead and add this. So this is segment length. And segment length is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. This is just a review. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's do this for AB first. So AB is going to be the square root. Remember, this is an x1, y1, and then we have x2, y2. So if we want x2, x2 is 9, so we have 9 minus x1 is 0. We're going to square that and add it to y2, which is 2, minus y1, which is 8. And we're going to square that. Now let's simplify this a little bit, and we'll have the square root of 9 squared plus 2 minus 8 is going to be negative 6 squared. 9 squared is 81 plus 6 squared is the same thing as negative 6 squared, which is 36. Okay, if we add those together now, we're going to have the square root of 117, and you can go ahead and put this in your calculator, and you're going to go get 10.8. And this is just units because we don't have a measure or a unit of measurement here. So that's our first answer. Now we're going to find the length of CD. And we're going to change this a little bit. These are not our x1s and y1s anymore. Now we have x1, y1, and x2, y2. I would suggest when you guys are doing this, label these points just like I did, because you're far less likely to get confused and make a mistake if you do label them. I still label them every single time I do these problems, because you're far less likely to make a mistake if you do. So let's do x2, which is 9, minus x1, which is 1, squared, plus y2, which is 15, minus y1, which is 3, squared. And let's simplify. We're going to have the square root of 8 squared plus 12 squared, which is going to be the square root of 64 plus 144, which is the square root of 208. And you can go ahead and put that in your calculator to get 14.4 units. So the first one is my length of AB, and my second one is my length of CD. While you're doing this stuff at home, I would suggest you guys using Desmos.com. So just go to Desmos, and it's going to take you to this screen. And down here where it says scientific, that's the calculator you're going to use. And it should take you to this screen. This is going to help you get those square roots calculated. It's going to help you with a lot of stuff, and you're going to have a lot more functions on this calculator than you do on your phone calculator. And sometimes your guys' phone calculators, you have to type stuff in kind of backwards. I would suggest just using this Desmos calculator. You can even use it on your phone. Because this is one that helps you guys with order of operations. With your phone calculators, it has you do the order of operations kind of backwards, which is not very good for your brain to think about it backwards. Okay, part B says find the equation of AB and the equation of CD. Write both equations in y equals mx plus b form. This is just a review from 8th grade math. Remember that m is your slope, and b is your y-intercept. So we're going to go down here, and I'm going to have to extend this line a little bit for CD. But on AB, our y-intercept is 8. So we're going to have y equals something x plus 8. Now we just need to figure out our slope. And remember, slope is rise over run. So if I find some pretty points on my slope, I'm just going to use these two that we already have, and we can simplify it further. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my rise is 6, and my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we went backwards, right? So this is going to be negative. It doesn't matter if I make the negative on the top or the bottom or out front. Just one part of it needs to be negative. So I'm just going to put my negative up here. And we can simplify this a little bit. So this is actually 3 goes into 6 2 times, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So this is negative 2/3 x plus 8. Don't forget your y equals. So that's the equation of my first line. Now for my second line, my y-intercept is a little bit harder. It's kind of a fraction down here. And we're just going to say it's 1.5 or 3/2. 3/2 is the same as 1.5. So 3/2 is my y-intercept. Now we need to find our rise over run, and I'm going to use these points again that are the points that were given to us. So I'm going to go my rise first. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I have 14 as my rise. And my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whoops, I had this graph wrong. I'm going to go ahead and fix my graph. So D was actually supposed to be down here further. It was supposed to be at 15. And for some reason I did not have it at 15. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That is where D should be. Okay, that's better. Let me go ahead and fix my rise now. My rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this top number is 12 now. And this bottom one should stay the same, but let's count it anyways. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's better. And remember, this is a y equals. Okay, now we can simplify this fraction also. 4 goes into 8 2 times, and 4 goes into 12 3 times. And we have x plus 3 halves as our y-intercept. So these are our two equations. Now we're going to have to use this for the next part of our question, and it says, is AB parallel to CD? Remember that those two little lines mean parallel. And is AB perpendicular to CD? That's what the T means, is perpendicular. So that would mean that our lines are making right angles. And this is a review from chapter 3 or 4 during this class, and we're going to put this on our formula sheet because you're going to have to remember this for some of your quiz questions and your homework questions. So if you remember back from the beginning of the year, perpendicular lines have something called opposite reciprocal slopes. And what that means is, for example, if I have a slope of 2/3, the opposite means it changes sign. So it's positive now, it's going to be negative. If it was negative before, it would change to positive. That's what the opposite part means. So this means plus or minus. Now the reciprocal means I'm going to flip it, so it's going to be 3/2. So this means flip. If I need parallel lines, this means I need the same slope. So if I have a slope of 1/2, I'm going to need a slope of 1/2 on my other line to have parallel lines. So with these two, I have a slope of -2/3 and a slope of 3/2. You can see that these are flipped and they're opposite signs, so that means they are perpendicular. So perpendicular and it says justify your answer, so perpendicular because they have opposite reciprocal slopes. Okay, now the last part says use algebra to find the coordinates of the point where A, B, and C, D intersect. I'm going to rewrite down our equations that we had because we're going to have to use that. So we have y equals negative 2/3 x plus 8 and y equals 3/2 x plus 3/2. And if you remember back from algebra, if I want to solve this system of equations, I would just set these two equal because they're both equal to y right now. So we're going to do just that, and we're going to set these equal. So we're going to do negative 2/3 x plus 8 equals 3/2 x plus 3/2. I am going to first start by moving either the 3/2 at the end or the 8 at the end. It's going to be easier to move the 3/2, so let's do minus 3/2. And we're going to have negative 2/3 x plus, go ahead and do 8 minus 1, which is 6.5, equals 3/2 x. And now I need to move my x's to the right hand side. So I'm going to do plus 2/3 x plus 2/3 x. Okay, and this is going to get kind of messy. So we're going to have 3/2 plus 2/3. And we need common denominators. So we're going to have to make these common denominators 6. To get the 2 to be 6, we need to multiply by 3, so we're going to multiply by 3 on the top also to get 9. To get the 3 to be 6, we need to multiply by 2, so we're going to multiply the 2 by 2 also to get 4. And 9 plus 4 is 13, and it's all over 6. So we are going to have equals, so 6.5 equals 13 over 6x. Now this looks like it's getting really complicated, but when you put this in your calculator, I promise you this is going to be a pretty number that comes out. So we need to multiply by the reciprocal now. So we're going to multiply by 6 over 13 on both sides. So that would make the 6's go away and the 13's go away, and we're just left with x. We're going to multiply by 6 over 13 over on the left side as well, and you should, when you do 6 times 6.5 divided by 13 in your calculator, you should get 3 equals x. So it looks like it gets tricky, but it's really not that bad. So now go ahead and take that x. We need the point where they intersect, so you're going to take that x and you're going to plug it back into either this equation or this equation to get your y. Go ahead and take a second to do that. Pause this video so that you can. Now you should have gotten y equals 6. So we would say our answer to D is 3, 6. That is our point of intersection. Okay, now this is the last problem we're going to do for this video. That last one was a lot longer than this one. I'm going to have you guys do some of the parts to this one because you know how to do them now. It's just going to be finding the length of segments and finding the slope of segments, which you knew before, but this is a good review for you guys. So it says, Shayla drew the quadrilateral SHAY shown below. The coordinates of its vertices are 4, 8, 0, 5, 0, 0, and 7, 4. So Shayla thinks her quadrilateral is a trapezoid. Is she correct? Be prepared to justify your answer to the class. If this is a trapezoid, that means that SY needs to be parallel to HA. So that's what we're going to find out if that is true or not. So if it's true, if they're parallel, then they should have the same slope. And we can see from H to A, our rise is 3 and our run is 4. So we're going to have 3/4. And from S to Y, our rise is 1, 2, 3, 4. And our run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our rise is 4 and our run is 7. Those are the simplified version, so that means they are not parallel lines because they are not the same slope. So not a trapezoid. And you should have something written down about the reasoning being because they don't have the same slope for those lines. Those lines have to be parallel for it to be a trapezoid. Part B says, does Sheila's quadrilateral look like it is one of the other kinds of special quadrilaterals you have studied? If so, which one? You can go ahead and look through your notes if you have them. I know a lot of you guys don't have your notes with you, and that's fine. This is not one of the quadrilaterals that we have studied. The only thing really special that you can say about it right now is that it has 4 sides. So it is a quadrilateral. It's just not one of the special ones that we studied. So now, part C says, even if Sheila's quadrilateral does not have a special name, it may still have some special properties like the ones you listed in problem 115, which is the problem we didn't do, but it's just listing the special properties of quadrilaterals, which you guys don't have all of your notes with you, so I did not make you do, but you do know those quadrilaterals. It says, use algebra and geometry tools to investigate Sheila's quadrilateral and see if it has any special properties. If you find any special properties, be prepared to justify your claim that this property is present. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to find the length of each side, so all of these sides, and you're going to need that formula that is x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So that's going to be the length. And I want you to find the slope of all of these sides. So please take a second and pause this and find all of those things. Once you press play again, I'm going to have the answers up, but you need to know how to get there. So please make sure you're doing this. Okay, so here are my answers that I got. I got the slope of HA is 3/4. Whoops, that's not HA. The slope of SH is actually undefined. The slope of AY is -4/3. And the slope of YS is 4/7. We had that one already. Now I got the length of SH is 5. The length of HA is 5. The length of AY is 5, and I got the length of YS is 8.06. So we could say some special properties about this is that SH equals HA equals AY. All of those side lengths are the same. Also, there's a special property here, so we could say that HA is perpendicular to AY. And that would be it. This is still not a special quadrilateral, but it does have some special properties about it. So last thing I wanted to mention to you guys, I'm going to give you a couple of equations to add to your formula sheet really quick. And then our homework, it's on the email, but it's 119, 120, 122, 124, and 125. And this is in chapter 7. This is from your book. Right now, CPM has all of their ebooks open so that anybody can use them, so you don't even have to log on or anything. So go ahead and go online to do those problems. And then when you're done with that, make sure you're doing that quiz 1 and quiz 2. On quiz 2, so question 2, on quiz 2, make sure you draw it out. I had a hard time doing that problem without drawing it out. However, once you draw it out, it's going to be really easy. You're going to have to use similar triangles. So if you get to the homework and you don't know how to do that similar triangle problem, make sure you ask me questions, because you're going to have to use one of those problems or one of those concepts on the quiz. Okay, there's a few equations that you're going to have to know for your quiz. These are all things that you guys have done in algebra, but you might not remember them. So if you need to find the midpoint formula, that is just x2 minus x1, and then your y coordinate is y2 minus y1. That should be review. If you need to find the equation of a line passing through 2 points, so equation of line through 2 points, that is going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And you guys have used that a bunch this year already, and you learned it in algebra, so you should know how to use it. And you're going to have to find the slope for this. So remember, slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And that should be everything you need for the homework and for both of the quizzes. Please make sure you email me if you have any questions, and I will make sure I get back to you.